Hey everyone, welcome to Fandom Media. I'm Kyle, and I hope you're all having a marvelous day. In today's video, I will be breaking down episodes 1 and 2 of WandaVision, discussing all of the awesome Easter eggs, and explaining what's going on in each episode. So if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, as I will be doing a breakdown for each episode, and I will also be making videos for other upcoming Disney Plus Marvel series such as Loki, Winter Soldier and Falcon, and more. So with that said, let's get hype and let's jump into the video. As we've seen from the trailers, WandaVision isn't your traditional Marvel IP. Each episode is set in a different era, with episode 1 being set in the 1950s and episode 2 set in the 1960s. It has a 4:3 aspect ratio, black and white coloring, and a laugh track to give it that traditional I Love Lucy, Bewitched, and Dick Van Dyke sitcom feel. Of course, we know that what's being shown and what's actually taking place are two separate things. We know this because of the events of the Infinity War with Thanos, and well, because Vision is dead. Which begs the question of, how is Vision alive, or is he still dead? The interesting thing is that we don't know why exactly this version of Wanda and Vision are being presented to us, but we do know that Wanda possesses the ability to alter reality itself, and that she has been dealing with a buildup of emotional trauma that culminated in the death of Vision, her own death, and her return after Thanos was defeated. The premise of the show is that Wanda and Vision are living the good life, settling into suburbia in the American town of Westview. We get your traditional 1950s trope, with Wanda serving as a suburban smiling housewife, and Vision serving as the breadwinner going to work at a computing company where he doesn't know what the company actually does. The first episode is heavily inspired by the 1950s sitcom tropes of a newlywed couple trying to impress your husband's boss at dinner. The entire episode is focused around the date of August 23rd, which I believe is a big comic clue and Easter egg in connection to Avengers issue number 238. Avengers issue 238 features a cover with Vision and Monica Rambeau, where Vision is shown trying to reactivate after being injured. In this issue, Vision is trying to break through an energy field that threatens Earth's existence, so it would also make sense that Monica Rambeau, who is in WandaVision, is included in this scenario, as there are sword Easter eggs everywhere throughout the first 3 episodes. So I don't think it's a coincidence that Sword is trying to break through to Wanda. The comedy is intentional and informative. I absolutely love the dry slapstick humor when Wanda accidentally levitates a dish that breaks over Vision's head. In this Bewitched-inspired scenario, Vision says, "My wife and her flying saucers," to which Wanda replies, "Oh, you know, my husband and his indestructible head." It's funny but also dark, because we know that Vision's head isn't indestructible, and the line is presented as somewhat normal. We know that it has a much deeper meaning, as we know Thanos ripped a Mind Stone out of Vision's skull. We get another intriguing Easter egg in the form of a pop culture commercial with the Stark Toastmaster 2000. It's brilliant on multiple levels, and I believe the commercials are being presented as her past memories bleeding through this false reality. We have to remember that this missile that killed her family in Sokovia had the label of Stark on it. I believe that this is the case also because we have a commercial with a Strucker watch and a Hydra symbol in episode 2. We gotta remember that Baron von Wolfgang Strucker was the leader who experimented on Scarlet Witch and her brother Quicksilver. This was most likely a very painful process that not only led to physical abuse of both Pietro and Wanda, but also the mental trauma which is coming back to the surface and represented in the form of these commercials. The time is also set to 242, which could point to Avengers issue number 242, in which Vision's body was repaired after he was deactivated. This makes sense considering that episode 1 has the connection to August 23rd and Avengers issue 238 on the calendar. Avengers 238 and 242 are part of the same arc, and episode 2 does feature Monica Rambeau and Scarlet Witch interacting much more heavily. Now, while Wanda and Vision are playing house and entertaining Mr. and Mrs. Hart for dinner, we get what I believe possibly is the most important Easter egg in the first 2 episodes. And it wasn't something that was really obvious, but it was the Maison du Mépris branded wine bottle at dinner. Maison du Mépris translates to House of Contempt and is a reference to the House of M comic book storyline in which Wanda warps reality after losing her children. In House of M, Wanda's mind is fractured and she essentially rewrote reality itself, which would make sense for what's being presented to us as viewers. A false reality in which Wanda and Vision find some semblance of happiness after the tragic events in which Vision is actually dead. I believe what's happening in WandaVision is setting us up for the big events that happen in Spider-Man 3 later this year, and of course, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, which will happen in 2022, which will feature Scarlet Witch. We know that Phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe will see the expansion of the Marvel Cinematic Multiverse, and we know that Nightmare will be one of the main antagonists in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. So perhaps he could somehow be involved in what's happening in WandaVision. We don't know if Wanda is actually in control of what's going on though. We do hear Jimmy Woo from Ant-Man reach out to her in episode 2 through the radio and ask Wanda who's doing this to her. Jimmy Woo is working for S.W.O.R.D. as they are the people who are monitoring Wanda. This is repeated just before the end credits at the S.W.O.R.D. monitoring facility at the end of episode 2. The devil really is in the details for WandaVision though. It's interesting because this may seem like a throwaway line from Dottie, the condescending neighbor who shows an arrogant disregard for her other community members, but I think it's the line after it, ushered by Agnes, who could be playing the part of witch and former mentor and villain of Wanda in the comics, Agatha Harkness. This ultimately could be the more important line, as she says that's not the only place he is. In the comics, part of Wanda's madness was actually caused by the devil Mephisto, whose main goal was to create chaos on Earth. Mephisto lives in his own realm and pocket universe in hell, so it would make sense that he would make his power move now by manipulating Wanda, who is in this grease state, and as there is a power vacuum now that Thanos has been defeated. The character of Agnes, played by Catherine Hahn, has really stood out to me so far. We know that all of these characters are actually someone outside of this warp reality that is being presented in WandaVision, and I don't think it's a coincidence that Agatha Harkness the Witch and Mephisto share a strong connection from the comics. There's a storyline involving Scarlet Witch unknowingly using shards of Mephisto's soul to magically become pregnant with her and Vision's children, twin boys named Billy and Tommy, aka Wiccan and Speed. We know that from the trailers that the twins will be a big plot point in WandaVision, and in the comics, Agatha, who could be Agnes, tries to help Wanda by wiping her memories in hopes of saving her from her grief. One of the major themes of episode 2 is for the children, which is interesting because they talk about fundraising and important issues related to children, but there are no children anywhere in Westview. The episode ends with Wanda referring to her having children, and I don't think it's a coincidence that Agnes, who in their very first conversation with Wanda is discussing reproduction with Vision and having kids. So I believe that Agnes, who is most likely Agatha Harkness, is playing a very big role in all of this scenario. The big question is whether Wanda is doing this of her own volition, or is this someone else influencing Wanda to do this? Alternatively, maybe Wanda is the one who made the deal with the devil to perhaps revive Vision in this false reality so she could live out her dream life with him and find happiness. That would be an interesting twist and could connect to what Agnes said about where the devil's presence actually is, hinting that he could be in Westview as one of the characters presented on screen and not just an outside influence. If this is what's going on, it would make sense that the devil is in the details and is actually in Westview. Speaking more of awesome details, 2 more scenes that also stood out to me were the talent show and also the beekeeper scene. There was something off about the talent show, and I feel like the magic show could symbolically represent how Wanda is controlling the town with her magic, willingly or not. Their stage names are Illusion and Glamour, with Wanda taking the name of Illusion and Vision of Glamour. Perhaps Wanda could be creating this illusion and glamoured version of Vision, and what we're being shown is a magic trick. Agnes offers the help of her husband Ralph as a volunteer, which is kind of weird, and then the crowd starts chanting, "What's in the box? What's in the box?" Then Wanda makes Geraldine Monica Rambeau magically appear from the Cabinet of Mysteries. What's interesting is that Vision doesn't make Wanda disappear, and Wanda makes Monica appear from the Cabinet of Mysteries. And Wanda's main reason for doing the talent show at all is because she wants them to fit into the community. So she doesn't get the intended result that she wants in this situation. Perhaps the reason she says no in the beekeeper scene as well is that she feels threatened by this person and that it will affect the outcome of her desires, which is living a life of happiness with Vision in Westview. I think it makes sense because when they're back inside their home, she asks Vision if this is all really happening, and he replies yes. I could be reading too deeply into this as I am with everything else in this video, but I like to look more deeply at the details and try to understand the writer's decision-making process behind each of these scenes and unwrap the layers and see what's actually going on. Overall, I really enjoyed the first couple of episodes, especially after a few rewatches. I do think that WandaVision could have also worked and been successful as a binge with all 9 episodes dropping at once, but I do like the anticipation and them dropping each week and being able to discuss all the Easter eggs, theories, and everything with all of you. Elizabeth Olsen also said that in a recent interview that the press was only given the first 3 episodes because that episode 4 features a pretty big shift. She said that there is a fun perspective swap and that a lot gets understood at that moment. So I'm really excited to see where they take the show and definitely excited to see episode 4. With that said, my episode breakdown for episode 3 will be out tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. And on Friday, I will have my episode breakdown and review for episode 4. Good news, I will be doing more videos on WandaVision, such as Easter egg videos and theory videos. I'm going to talk about the comics as well, because there's so many influences from the Marvel comics, but I would also love to hear what kind of videos you would like to see coming next from me on the channel. Feel free to let me know in the comment section, and I'll do my best to address everything you guys want to see in a fun Q&A video or other videos after my episode reviews and breakdowns each Friday for WandaVision. Also, every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will be teaming up with Chris Hacksdogma, who is also making his own awesome WandaVision content for the Marvel podcast. We recorded our first ever episode last Sunday, covering the first 3 episodes of WandaVision. So if you're into that kind of stuff, you're into Marvel podcasts, you're into more Marvel content, make sure you go check out his channel and go check out our podcast as well, because we're going to be putting out some really awesome content. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you all have a marvelous day.